Hello and welcome. Brent Fikowski here, Loud and Live podcast. I'm here with the wonderful Mat Fraser and Matt O'Keefe, and we're talking about all things fitness.
I like this.
All things fitness and Brent Fikowski.
And Brent Fikowski.
That's right. Remember, you're on. That's how we should have sat on the same side to interrogate you.
All right.
How you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
What do you, so we're Sunday afternoon nearing the end of Wodapalooza.
Got one event left of good old Wodapalooza.
Super cool race. I haven't seen the actual scoreboard after that last workout. We just watched the deadlift burpee workout. Did you? Oh, you were doing an appearance.
Yep. Yeah, I think Tia opened up her lead. I think it was by 2 spots at 12 points. You're doing like games type score, right? Yeah, so I think she opened it up 12 more points. I know Cole Sager was ahead by 64.
Yep.
I think he's still ahead by a handful of points.
I think only about 15.
Oh, no. He's ahead by 6. So if Vellner wins the next one and Cole gets second, they're tied in points. What's the tiebreaker?
I have no idea.
Fran.
I have no, honestly, and I mean that in a good way. Like
tug of war.
My team has that completely under control.
Main stage, tug of war.
I'm pretty sure it's similar. I want to say it's probably the same as the games, which is your next highest finish.
No, they should each get to pick one person out of the crowd doing tug of war.
I think that they. Whatever you want. Let's just do this. If they tie, Matt gets to, and Brent are going to go out on the floor and make up a workout.
Do we have to do it?
No.
Oh, good. No.
Matt's like, I haven't worked out in a month.
Since January 26th around 6:20 p.m. I haven't touched a thing.
Oh, man, yeah.
I'm in my fluffy mode.
Fluff. What do you think so far? I mean, you've competed here before. Was here first time last year to hang out. What do you think about it overall? I mean, did you get to soak it in a lot when you came here as a competitor, or were you more locked in? You did team. Have you competed individually here?
No, I've competed twice on a team. Yep. So I tied for first 1 year.
Oh, I remember that. I wasn't around for that.
Yeah. So I tied for first the 1 year on a team, and that was really cool. I think, if I do say so myself, that was like the first super team year. There were some crazy teams there that year and the next year. Actually, no, it was the next year when it got crazy.
Who did you tie with?
Shrewsbury. So it was like they made it through the qualifier. Crossed Shrewsbury. You know those guys.
Trevor James was on the team.
Oh, I remember all of this. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys won, and then a week later you got a phone call and it was like, "Hey, we decided you didn't win." It was like, it's not quite how it works there, fellas.
Yeah, something like that.
That was under old management.
And so that was my first Wodapalooza, and that was a great time. We had a great competition. I was with ADL, who's now back.
Oh, I'm so happy he's back.
ADL, when that competition, he had, we weren't training together. He was on the other side of the country, but I got this team together, him, me, and Mitch Barnard. And we get here and we're like, all right, we ready to go? And ADL's like, oh, my back's pretty bad. And we're like, oh, man, are you serious?
Yeah, why did you give us a heads up?
Give us a heads up, whatever. And so one of the first workouts is this sprint of barbell snatches, assault bike, and thrusters. In the warm-up area, he's just sitting down, not, so we're like, all right, I don't know.
We'll see how this goes.
And then he's out there and he's just such a gamer. He's like, I got this, and he just crushes it. And then there's another event where you have a 1 rep max snatch in the middle of a workout. You have to do 10 heavy reps at I don't know, it was 250 or something. So we're going, me and Mitch are kind of trading back and forth, and we're like, hey, we're feeling good, we got this. He's like, no. And he pushes us aside. He takes his fair share after doing no snatches in the warm-up area, 0.
That's crazy.
So that's ADL.
I love how he just flies in under the radar. Every once in a while he'll just pop up. You haven't heard his name in a year. I remember one time he showed up to Granite Games. It was the first time they made it 20 or 25 grand. And everyone has their predictions on all these other names that are crushing at the time, and then he just slides on in.
Impressively, that was a good field too.
Cleans up 25 grand and then just goes home. He's a full-time cop, right?
Yeah.
In Montreal.
Mm-hmm. Just had a baby months ago, right?
Yeah.
A couple months ago.
Yeah.
He was just roaming. We were doing a podcast and he's just casually roaming around here. He's a legend, honestly.
Well, it was funny too, talking to Vellner, because I think he got third in the 12-minute row. He finished it, and we're like, how did he do that? And then Vellner's like, well, he had a kid, so he's not leaving the house too often. He's taking care of his newborn. So probably the only cardio he's doing is just like a rower set up in his living room. So like the fact that a rower came up, he just casually takes a third, like crushes it.
What did you guys think of that workout?
I loved it. I would have liked to see, instead of like, it started at like a
slow pace,
like 2 minutes,
2 or 2:05.
Yeah, something like that. And then at the end, it's like a 1:15. Like it was in the last 30 seconds. It's just like chop, chop, chop.
It was
I
wild.
would have liked to see the pace increase more gradually, or like
decrease.
Yeah, but like longer intervals and be knocking out people earlier on. So instead of starting at 2 minutes, like starting at 150. But like the format of it, I thought was awesome.
Cool.
It was just, like I was expecting more people to get chopped off earlier, but I don't think anyone got chopped off till like minute like 9 or 10.
Yeah. Do you think people's approach at the beginning, is that what you're saying? Like, it maybe because of the way it was set up, it did not bait anybody at the beginning to do something foolish or have to apply themselves? It was like there was really no gaming in it because of that? Or
I think there's definitely some gaming going on. I think you saw like a bit of different strategy from some people. Like I know some of the guys, they're holding like 130s for like the first minute.
It's crazy.
And getting like a good buffer and then really throttling it back.
Yeah.
I actually don't know. I'd have to sit down and like play with it and test it. I found out what the event was like 5 minutes before they went on, so I didn't really have much time to think of like how I would attack it.
I think so. Just like a 2K row is boring to watch.
Yep.
So getting just a row or just a bike and making it somehow exciting, I think essentially it's a beep test, right? That's what it was.
Yeah.
But finding some way to ensure that like getting a buffer doesn't help, like some sort of reset every minute. So it's like within the first minute you have to row, I don't know, like 300 meters.
Well, I mean, even like every minute on the minute, 200 meters, and it's like you start with 40 people, and every minute the slowest person gets chopped off. Like,
well, that's something totally different because
that's like a beep test though.
That's different though because what's going to happen is everyone's going to go like really hard. It's going to be an inverse beep test.
You're saying like start at 150 meters in a minute, and then next one 155, and then 160.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then it's like a real, like it'd be a very pure test of fitness.
Yeah.
Because it's just like all you're going to do.
You're not having a game against someone else.
No, you're just like, all I have to do is 155 and then 160.
Yeah.
And so each time, you just know, okay, I have to hold on average this pace, and it just keeps increasing. And then and that would be super painful.
That would be brutal.
Right?
I mean, like I basically did that the other day on a Concept 2 bike, death by calories.
Yeah, exactly. You can do that. You basically do death by calories.
How is that, buddy?
With like
I gave myself bronchitis. I got bronchitis like immediately.
You've done that a number of times.
Oh yeah,
that in rhabdo.
Yeah,
the comebacks are rough.
No, I've only done rhabdo once.
Tell that story.
You got rhabdo?
Yeah.
This was like early on.
So this is my first open. So I had been doing CrossFit for like a week.
Yeah.
And like I would show up, the owner of the gym, Jay Jenny, he would tell me like, all right, show up here Friday at 3 p.m. I'll tell you the workout. I'll show you how to do it. And then like he was my ref every year, every workout for like 4 years. And so like, the workout was, well, so I didn't show up to the gym from the last Friday. It was like a heavy school week, so I just ate Chinese food and studied and crushed that side of my life. So I show up the next Friday, and the workout was one of the ones where it was like every 3 minutes you bought yourself another 3 minutes.
No, it was the snatch workout with the burpees. So it was the combination of 7 minutes of burpees and the snatches, right?
No, it was something with chest to bar
over
and
at squat.
thrusters.
No, over at squat.
No, this was 2013.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the final week, the 5th week.
Thrusters and chest to bar.
15 thruster, 15 chest to bar. If you finish 3 rounds with just friend in 4 minutes, you went again.
Yeah. So that was that. So that was my first time going to the gym in 7 days. Did that workout.
Did you get done the 8 minutes? No.
I have no idea. I have no recollection of what I did. But yeah, it was like the next day, like I was peeing blood, and I thought I got like strep throat, and it was just like everything was unusually sore. I was like, man, this isn't good, and it was like that for like 2 or 3 days. But I was like, nah, what are you gonna do? But I had no idea what it was. And then it was like, I took my L1 not too long after that, and they were like, all right, here are the symptoms of rhabdo. And I was like, check. It was like, if you eat shitty food, you don't work out for a long time, you do like a single modality workout with super high reps. I was like, yep. And then they were like, shows up as strep throat, your piss looks like Coke. I was like, I had all of these things.
I know you guys, will you become more and more tuned into avoiding those scenarios, but do you still do things in the gym that like you'll categorize as stupid? Does that happen? Obviously it happens less, but does it still happen, or are you guys very cautious at this point?
I've gotten better with it over the years. It used to be like every time I came back after like a couple weeks off, I would pound myself into a pulp. I had it once, like not that long ago, where I hadn't done anything in like 3 weeks. And my first workout back, I did 10 rounds of 10 GHD, 10 toe to bar.
Yeah.
It was the first thing, like,
okay. Like a mayhem special.
Yes.
I was trying to think of when that was, because I was in Vermont, and yeah, like it hurt to sneeze for like 3 days.
Yeah.
It was awful.
We call that abdo.
Right before Sid, the morning I was leaving for Sid, I dislocated the rib.
Oh, right.
That was full pain. I was leaving for the airport at 9 a.m. and I dislocated the rib at like 7:30.
What were you doing?
Max out back squatting without warming up.
Like actually?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Like it was like that was my training for the day, was like my heavy single, like last day of the training cycle before leaving.
Okay, yeah.
And I wasn't just like, I was like, I'll just work up to a heavy single.
Yeah,
like,
I get what you mean.
And but it was like, because I was like rushed, it was early in the morning, I didn't do like my regular warm up, stretching, rolling out, mobility, nothing. And then sure enough, like I unracked the bar, and as I stepped back, it went just popped. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to waste this. So I did my 2 reps, I racked it, and then I was like, Sammy, like, call the doctor now.
Yeah.
And so I called my chiropractor. He's like clearly in bed. I was, hey, you at the office today? He's like, no, it's like my day off. I was like, can you get to the office?
That's service.
You can't get your rib back in. I have a similar thing from golf. A little different than maxing out your back squat, but I can pop it back in.
Oh yeah, there's no hope for me.
I do like a little move like this, and I just like go down, and it goes whoop.
Talk about like the most tense airplane ride I've ever had.
Yeah, you're nervous.
Of like
as hell,
flying to London, just petrified, and every 5 minutes leaning forward, be like, oh, is it better yet? Oh, nope, still there.
Yeah, I think as far as like doing stuff stupid, I'm pretty smart about when I come back in, like making sure like the first week or two you're not like dipping into like really high rep or high intensity stuff. That's the biggest thing.
You're just easing back in.
Yeah, I don't mind easing back in. It's like getting in a cold pool. I'm not a belly flop guy. Just like, a little bit of time, come out, get a little water. I'd say the biggest thing is just as you're training more, you're just like, you're getting sick of like, I don't really want to warm up, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then when you don't do that, like just like a couple weeks ago, I was training a lot. It was like the last day, and I'm like, like everything's fine. Like, I just start doing squat cleans. I'm like kind of bouncing out of the bottom, and I can just feel like just a little, that little
tingle.
Kind of like, it's not like a tear, but it's just like a minor little thing. And I'm like, shit. Like I didn't do anything to
like where it sounds like Velcro.
I didn't hear anything, but it was just, and then for the next like 3 days, you're just mindful of like squatting deep.
Yep.
So it's stuff like that, and then again, when you're training a lot, there's this fine balance between like, we want to do a lot of legs today, and then you finish, you're like, was that too much?
Yeah.
Like you start counting up all the pistols and air squats and squat cleans, and you're just like, oh, that's like 400 reps below parallel, or 500, 600.
I don't know about you, but like I remember early on in my career, it was just like mech on.
Of course.
And then you start realizing like, oh man, I kind of want to stay in the sport for a while, and I don't want to walk with a limp my entire life. And so I'm like, all right, I'm like keeping
cowboy, like
like I keep the idea of longevity in my mind, and like I know now, like I'm 4 years later, 5 years later, but like it was after 2015 regionals and games, I was like contemplating retirement because I was so beat up.
Really?
Like tendonitis and just aches and pains, and I was like, dude, I'm 25, 26, like I shouldn't be feeling like this. And now I make it a point to like, I feel better now than when I did at 25, and it's definitely because of the hours I put in.
Yeah.
When I don't know if you guys would even remember this, but like, when's the first time you guys were aware of each other? And what was it? So was there an aha moment where you're like, oh, that guy's gonna be good, or like,
So I remember hearing the name. It was like you'd have like every once in a while you just crush an open workout.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, and it was like, who the hell is that? And like, if you had a top score, your video got submitted. And then...
Well, Brent used to just put all his videos out.
That was part of it too. Yeah, the first like 2-3 years of the Open, every video I just put online.
Yeah, I remember I was like, who the hell is like this Fikowski kid? And someone was like, oh man, he's super tall and skinny. He just like, he happened to be good at those movements. I'm like, all right, cool. Then there was the year that you were crying like a little bitch at regionals.
Yep.
That one got you a lot of airtime. That clip gets played all the time.
Whenever I see that, I'm like, great. Like, just put, like, me and my wife are like disappointed. We're like crying, and they're just like in the corner, paparazzi.
They're like, don't mind us on this terrible moment. Yeah. Been there.
Yeah.
No, then it was your rookie year that you broke the record for most wins for a rookie, right?
Yeah. That was the first time you won, I think. Was that your first
16?
win? Yeah.
Yep. Was that your rookie year? Was 16?
Yeah.
Oh shit. No,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What did you win? Four events?
4 events in 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would either come top 3 or come bottom 3 in every workout. Essentially how that weekend went.
Eventful.
Yeah.
And you finished fourth
that
day.
year.
Fourth year.
Yeah, so I was like a pointer. I was like 2 or 3 points behind Vellner for third.
Oh, that was the one. The last workout was the thrusters.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing.
You were like back and forth with it.
I remember that event. They didn't really point it out in the movie, but it was running to the line. I think BKG was kind of jogging, and Vellner like threw his foot over. And if BKG wasn't there to middle the two of you would have been on the podium. Yeah, Vellner was like 2 points ahead or something.
Yeah, and so someone mentioned that to me. Like, I think the first person that mentioned it was might have been Roy McKernan. And he's like, so you're gonna go talk to BK? And I was like, I don't know about what. And he's like, oh well, if he had sprinted to the finish line, you'd have a bronze medal. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. But I'm also like, yeah, I mean, I look back at the handstand walk, and had I not like messed it up.
So I mean, everyone, it's the same thing when it comes to like football games. Everyone looks at the last 10 seconds of the game. Yeah. It's like, oh, if so-and-so did this, it would have changed the entire outcome. It's like, there was probably 1,000 of those moments throughout the entire thing where that would have had an effect. And so it's like, you can't just look at that last thruster workout where Vellner towed BK across the line. Like, if you look back at the scores, there's probably a half dozen where someone crossed the line a tenth of a second before someone, and it would have helped or hurt you. Yeah. And
what I always say is, I'm like, well, if I get to go back in time and change one thing, then Vellner gets to go back in time and change one thing.
Yeah, I remember hearing that all the time of like, you know, if he didn't fall off the cargo net, it would have been down. I'm like, well, I fell off too. What if I had a perfect run?
Yeah, it's like, and that's the thing is, it's, you know, like I could go back and count up all my mistakes and all the things other people didn't do to middle this and this and go, hey, you know, this and that, I would have, you know, been this close, or I would have won. And it's like, well, yeah, then the guy who wins. Same with Holberg 2 years ago when we tied. And, you know, obviously people come up with other things. I'm like, yeah, but I screwed that up and I screwed that up. Yeah. And he did too. It's not like he had a perfect run. Maybe he had a better run than me. Like he might have displayed what he had better than I displayed what I had. Yeah. But that's not my.
Well, I mean, that whole game he had on the proper size knee sleeves.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why.
First time
I'm never letting that one go.
Yeah, that one. I think that one went right over. Do you know what that is?
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Dude, he's in a group called Trash Talk Thursday. He's very aware of all the trash talk that goes on.
Our group chat is pretty aware of all the little happenings such as those.
You guys are making a run at. Were you making an appearance like almost all together? So at an event, right?
We might, yeah. So we might get the Trash Talk group together at CanWest Games and do something.
At what?
One of the sanctionals.
One of the sanctioned events in Canada West.
Oh, Canada got one now.
Yeah.
Hey, congrats, Canada.
I know, right?
They got 2.
Yeah, I know. It took a while.
There's one in Montreal and one in Vancouver.
What's the one in Montreal?
Atlas Games.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Camille's brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep. How about you, Matt?
I remember, I think our regional, we both had the first regional, was the same regional, 2013. And so I just remember hearing like rumblings of some guy who did really good in the 3 rep max
overhead squat.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, but he was awful at everything else. I'm like, okay.
Yep, that's about right.
And then it was like, a couple years later, obviously he did well, and then I heard like Outlaw Way make a like claim that like, oh, I knew that guy would be great because
Outlaw Way. What was that?
Oh, he doesn't. Yeah.
You know Rudy from Outlaw.
Nielsen?
Remember he did the thing about your chest hair?
Outlaw. Yeah.
The Outlaw. Yeah, the Outlaw Pro. Anyway, so I remember him saying something like, you know, he heard that like some guy squatted this overhead squat, and then when he saw that the guy was, you know, not like huge and
huge
fat,
galoot,
wasn't like 6'2", 240.
I was
that you
just
were
a
like,
little guy.
He's like, that guy's gonna be great if he like
Yeah.
And then I mean now he claims like I was right. It's like, well, you didn't do anything. Like it's not like that was you. Anyway, so I heard about Matt then, and then the next year you won your regional.
Yeah.
So then, you know, I was just watching videos of the regional highlights and seeing him yelling and wearing like shorts that were too long for him. And it was outside, right? That East Regional was outside.
I just love that you point out that I had shorts that were too long.
Oh, yeah.
So O'Keefe, every competition, be like, hey man, I got you some new shorts. I'm like, no man, I'm good. Like, I don't want to take more product from you. Like, these ones are comfy. And like this whole time, O'Keefe's like, please wear these smaller shorts.
If your shorts are below your knees, you don't ever have any trouble with judging. Yeah.
Maybe
those are the days.
Sammy jokes about it. She's like, I didn't see your kneecaps for like the first 2 years we dated.
Cover your knees if you're going to be walking around. Yeah. So I just remember seeing highlights of that, and like I remember him crushing 1 or 2 of those workouts. I was like, oh, those are good scores. And then you went on to get a medal at the games.
Oh, just 1 or 2?
Yeah, I think there was 2.
You've both had some time. You have both traveled quite a bit. Well, you've won the same sanctional. So you both,
Dubai,
you both won Dubai. Congratulations, that was cool. And I get
what
to
a
watch
wild spot that is, huh? Was that your first time in Dubai?
Yeah.
Cool. Wild.
That what's your talk about your thoughts on the new system? And I know a lot's playing out, but you know we've talked individually about it from time to time. But what you liking it? I mean, you've got a chance to go to China and Dubai. You know, you've gone to London and Dubai. You've seen 2 places you'd have never gone again, right? Is that you're enjoying that, or you miss regionals? Like, where are you at?
I think I like it better. I mean, it'll probably be another. I think next year will be really good. I knew it was going to take at least a year, 2, 3 years for it to kind of the dust to settle. I think from a spectator standpoint, it's probably a little hard for the average fan to keep track of all the sanctionals. So there's a little bit of fighting between them for attention, which is fine. I mean, that's competition, but hopefully it'll kind of level out, and they'll understanding their identity. Can they all be profitable? What kind of programming do they need to have? What to expect from the athletes and the spectator experience and the online viewing experience. I think people with regionals didn't realize how treated they were. It's like, oh, I want $20 tickets, and I want a free live stream, and I want it to be all just compacted into this perfect little package. And really, as fans and even athletes, we had it pretty good with that regional. It was a very professional setup, and we came to expect it. And then you compare that to talking to someone who goes to the Olympics, and they're like, yeah, it's like kind of a gong show. And you're like, oh, they're like, yeah, an event like regionals is run as well or better than a lot of world championships and other sports that have been around for years.
Yeah.
So I think we took that for granted a little bit, and then as fans, you took it for granted that, oh, I want a free live stream, and I want it to have no interruptions, and you just expect a lot for free. And so now it's sort of that reshift of what can be expected.
Well, that's when you look at that too, and it's interesting you pointed out. I mean, we have a paywall on our broadcast, and broadcasting is super expensive, and you want it done well, and the old format, that's some of the reason it's not around anymore is, because it was not making sense financially, right? And so, yeah, it is. I don't think people in this space realize how unique that was, and how ahead of maybe our time it was, the way it was set up from at a minimum the broadcasting platform. What about you though?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing about regionals that I didn't love was the fact that there were strong regions and weak regions purely just based off where someone happened to live, and then the fact that you weren't allowed to move from region to region. And for me, I've been in a scenario where you get the flu the week of regionals, and it's yo, can I just fly out to California in 2 weeks, once I'm healthy and compete there? And it's nope, this is your only chance. Yeah. We've seen it this is a couple years ago now, but the previous world champion stumbled on an event the next year at regionals, didn't even qualify, and it's I'm sure if she flew to a different region the next week and just had another whack at it or something, she could qualify. So for me, the big thing was, just the timing of an injury or an illness, and your year can be done. So that was the only part I didn't love. The part I missed and I really did love was being able to compare athletes, for the most part, from region to region very well. There was definitely some discrepancies of, I think there was one region that was at a bit of an altitude.
That was an excuse.
But then I know the East region one year was outdoors and the floor was
oh dude, remember the hands
plate. Everyone's hands got lit.
2014.
So it's some regions had a temperature discrepancy, so it
also an excuse.
It played a factor.
I know it totally does. It totally does.
Broad strokes, the leaderboard at the end of all the regions was probably 99% accurate and a good reflection of what happened.
Right.
I missed that. I've kind of thought a little bit of oh, it'd be cool if every sanctional had one workout that was the same from each sanction.
You said that in London. I thought that was a really cool thing to point out.
How practical that is. We know how it is, even from open workouts, of just how you set up your equipment. An extra foot at each station by the end of a 20-minute AMRAP leads to an entire round. So I mean, how realistic that is to get each sanctional to set up and use the same equipment and everything. Probably not the most practical thing. But I really did enjoy that from regionals of, at the end of it all, there was the worldwide regional leaderboard. And you can kind of see, how you stack up against everyone before you actually get to the main stage.
That was for me, sitting on the side where, being a part of what you were doing, when you would go first, it was because when you're looking at it practically, there's a thing called adaptation, right? So that week 4,
they're going to be smoking.
Yeah,
I remember my second time at regionals. It was I was week 3 or 4.
Right.
For those 4 weeks, I did nothing but just regionals on repeat. I did nothing else other than regional workouts. And so by the time I got to regionals, I'm that's all my body knows is all right, 21, 15, 9, front squats, handstand push-ups, and burpees.
Yeah.
Something like that. And after that, I would do some of the regional workouts. I would do some of the workouts, and then I wouldn't even do all of them all the way through, because I was nope, regionals isn't my priority. Even if I get 3rd or 4th in regionals, that's fine. My goal is the games, and we've seen that before. I think Ben Smith got 4th at regionals the year he won.
Yeah.
I mean, that
he almost didn't qualify for the games. Yeah.
That was just a huge billboard for the fact that regionals does not matter. It's only the games. You don't carry over points from regionals. It's just what you want to listen to from commentators for the next 3 months before you get to the games. And
here we go.
They write their narratives.
What do you think? What do you think this? And I know you both like the way it's going, in the direction, right? What does it need? What do we need to? What's the next? If you were going to be the orchestrator of this, where would it go at this point?
I mean, more swimming, No, I'm kidding.
More swimming.
Yeah,
odd
is there
objects
requirement?
running.
Yeah, do you think it needs to be more requirements on how an event like this programs? Like, what is it? Like,
I think that'd be one of the
system that's linked
I know
together?
the one thing we've talked about is like, if you want to make this like a tour, like you think about like any other sport, they play every weekend, you know. So like basketball players, they'll do 16 games in a row, stuff like that, and it's like you can't do that here because it's much higher impact. So I think if competitions are trying to set it up so athletes can bounce from one to the other, they need to think about like, all right, well, if you want them to compete every weekend or every other weekend, we need to set up some guidelines of like, all right, only 1 out of every 4 will have a max Olympic lift, you know?
Yep.
But then you run into the problem of like, all right, well, who gets it? Because those are the events that people love, that get the crowd hyped, that make the great highlight reel for Instagram, are like the max lifts and people slamming bars, all that stuff. But it's the high impact stuff. That's stuff that kicks the shit out of you for a couple days afterwards. So I think there's something to think about like that. I know I've heard it from other people of how far down the invite goes. So I mean, like, we've seen at competitions where like the 9th place person is getting the invite to go to the games. I've heard that idea. I would have to look at the leaderboard from the games and see, all right, well, did those people do well at the games, or were they just like, they shouldn't have been there, you know?
Right.
I mean, I think that's where people sit down with Excel spreadsheets and start crunching numbers and looking at like what's realistic, what's not. Because I mean, how many sanctionals are there this year?
28.
Holy shit.
It's a lot.
And very few overlap. It's like maybe two. Yeah. So there's like 2 that overlap. The initial intention was to be completely separate.
That's cool.
And even like events like this were going to be the following week was going to be like very far away. Like I think Australia might be next week or the week after or something. So that it was regionally it wasn't an issue.
That's cool.
Particularly with I think some of the bigger events too.
Yeah,
right?
I think a big thing that's gonna like jump the whole sanctionals and the sport forward is, you know, people that own events realizing if we work together, it'll be better. You know, I think the initial thought of like the way I get the biggest and best is to like work against everyone else to make myself look better. But then like I think a lot of us saw it last year of that didn't work for a lot of competitions. You know, the ones that work together, and it's like, all right, like the top 5 from your competition, if they didn't qualify, they have an invite to our competition, so then they can just bounce around and make a circuit out of it. I thought that was great. The few that did it last year, I think a lot more are doing it this year. Just kind of working together, making sure the timing's good, not running individual qualifiers, because otherwise you're just doing the open all year long. Like, you don't have time to compete because you're always doing qualifiers. So I mean, stuff like that. But I think from last year to this year, I mean, the learning curve is quick. People saw what worked and what didn't work.
Yep.
Yeah. I think the 2 biggest things, like one is like a logistics standpoint for each competition. You need a group of people that understand how to run an event, from keeping things on time, keeping things safe, and like you could tell you had when it started to rain, you're like, okay, we're doing front rack lunges, and you had people out there squeegeeing and cleaning up the things.
Oh yeah, when as soon as it started raining, like the squeegees came out, I was like, oh,
they're ready.
They're ready. And then the final heat, and it was only that heat that was doing 235.
Yeah.
And so it was an equal race across everyone. And Dylan just came out. He's like, all right, guys, we prepared for this. Like, we're doing front rack. And it was like, oh, man. Like, he owned it. You guys had a plan, and it ran safe. That was great.
Yeah. So I think, like, logistics, just stuff. I mean, I spoke with an event last year. I won't say which one. And they were considering an outdoor event. And I'm like, oh, you just got to keep in mind that, if it does rain, bar muscle-ups are sketchy, and this, and oh yeah, we never thought of that. I'm like, yeah. Like, you need to think of that, because I'm not gonna come to your comp and do bar muscle-ups if it's pouring rain. Like, I just won't do it. And so I think having a set of rules, which you should pretty much just copy and paste from the games rule book and maybe change according to your event, but even something like the front rack lunges, it's not out of the question that in the rule book you say, if deemed by the event organizers from a safety standpoint it is too wet, the movement will be changed to front. Like, just having it in there so it's not not this feeling of collusion, like, oh, we're trying to change it so, Jim can win on the last minute. Like, it's hard. Oh, it's raining a little bit, front rack. So if you have some really clear rules, that's a logistics standpoint. And then the second one is programming. And there's like so many facets to programming that are important. One is just, how many events and how taxing are those events, from just the amount of reps to obviously the load are kind of the two factors. Like if you're doing a competition that has 200 chest to bars, 30 legless rope climbs, your biceps are messed. You're doing a comp that has just a lot of squats, whatever. There's that kind of athlete toll on the body, which makes them delay the rest of their season. There's a fairness standpoint. And then there's also, from an athlete, we're preparing, like when you go to the games, you prepare for the games essentially by looking at the last couple CrossFit games and the last couple regionals, and you're like, within reason, you're like, okay, like I'm preparing for something like this and maybe like a step up, and you got to think outside the box a bit. And you're sort of doing that with sanctionals, and so it can be hard. You go to an event and you're like, all right, I'm going to a sanctional and it's brand new, and you're just like, well, am I training for 13 events over 4 days, or am I training for 5 events in 2 days? And it's a secret, but it's like, I need to kind of know. Like, there's nothing wrong with me knowing that. In my opinion.
Yeah, in terms of like a brand new event and knowing like how many events, how many days, all that, it's kind of like, you take that gamble. I know for myself, like I'm very selective on where I compete and all that stuff. And so, like, perfect example is this year, strength and depth. It was T and I wanted to do our training cycles together. I couldn't compete at Mayhem, so I was like, all right, what's the next competition? And then it was strength and depth like a week or two later. And then my next thing is like asking O'Keefe, like, hey, do you know the guy that runs this? And it was like, okay, you do? Is he a good guy? Is he like whacked in the head? What was the event like last year? And I remember watching the event last year and thinking, oh, this is a very simple event. They're testing fitness. They're not doing anything way out of left field. It's 3 days, 2 events each day for the most part. There's usually like one very quick event on Saturday. It was basically run like regionals. It was a clean, simple event. And I went this year. I wasn't disappointed. Like, the crowd was crazy, like super exciting. So like it was, when the crowd's loud, it's kind of more incentive for you to push harder. It was couplets, triplets, chippers. Like there was some weight, but no max lifts that crushed anyone. So like that's what I'm looking at. Of like, what reputation does this event have? And that, like, I remember 2 years ago when I was prepping for Dubai, I was like, I'm ready for a heavy barbell on every event. Like, you're just ready for 15 events, 4 days. I'm going to feel like death after this, but I think I can survive better than other people. I was pleasantly surprised that because they were now a qualifier, they cut it down to 10 events, I think it was. Not all heavy barbells. They brought in other people to program, So it's each event, I think, is getting their own reputation of what they do.
I think, and so right now we're going off sort of a reputation trust aspect, which I think is fine, I guess, in an ideal situation for the sport to have a little more official status. I think having some sort of, I don't know how that would work, but some sort of governing body or something, because not everyone gets it. You've seen a few sanctioned events
I remember
that don't get it, and you're just like, that event is not appropriate. It just doesn't make sense.
I remember like hearing about a small competition. It was like a week or two after the games in 18, and they were like, all right, first announced workout, marathon row. That's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is a in-house or like just a. Like, you don't have games athletes, regional athletes showing up here. Like, this is supposed to be a fun competition. Like, that is terrible. And if I were doing a local competition just for fun and someone announced a marathon row, I'd be like, I'm out. Cool. Like, I'll show up for event 2.
And so that's, I think that's the logistics and the programming are the two things that just consistency amongst events, and a little less of the trust and, I hope it's like last year. In my opinion, just So you have
I think that's where it has to go.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just
That's
so
where
new.
I'm at.
That's like you just gotta pick up the phone and be like, hey, what's the format for your competition? You know, all that stuff.
Yeah, I just bumped into someone who's competing at another sanctional, and I'm like, you got any advice? I'm like, go to their Instagram, go to their Facebook, and scroll as far back as you can and see every workout they've ever done at that competition.
Yep.
Write it down on a piece of paper.
Exactly.
Because it's probably going to be something like that, or a combination, changes. But if they always do a heavy whatever, or they always swim, it's like you're probably going to swim
Or
again.
if every year there's like a trail that like loops around their venue, it's like, all right, you're probably doing that run.
Yeah.
Make sure you're ready for
It's
that.
like at the games when you run up the berm, you're like, maybe we'll run up that when I get there. I don't know, like maybe.
And every year it was like listed, like 1 year it's an 800-meter run, the berm run, 400-meter run, berm run.
Wait a second.
Does anyone have a measuring wheel? Like, just walk this thing.
You're right? I think
Every
it was
year
like
is listed as something
500 to
different.
600. Yeah, it's crazy.
650, I think.
Yeah, no, seriously. Talk about, because we're probably going to wrap up here in like 5 minutes. I think it was something that I wanted to talk to you guys about. It was like the athlete relationship. You guys have a great relationship. I think everybody looks at like what you guys do because it's such like an aggressive sport that everybody kind of like is at each other's throats. And I think you've all developed, like we're all going to Pat's wedding, right? Like you're going with our wives,
going to Valner's wedding.
And we all hang out and well, I don't compete with you guys, but you guys do. Like, what's it like? You guys are want to rip each other's throats out on the floor, but you guys have good relationships off, right?
No, I mean, yes, we do have a good relationship. Like, don't get me wrong there.
No.
It's like, wait.
Oh, I fucking hate this
Wrong
guy.
question.
No, the only conclusion that I can come up with is that we don't have any physical contact on the field.
Yeah.
So there's never like a cheap shot that's thrown, and then it's like, all right, next time we meet up, it's like, oh, I'm gonna get him back. I remember playing high school football, and there was full of that. Like number 32 took me out of the knees. I'll get him back next play.
Right,
and then before you know it, like the whole team hates the entire whole team. I think the only time anything negative comes up is maybe in an interview.
Right.
When you're watching interviews after the fact, I've always tried to go by the rule of like the only time you say a competitor's name is when it's for praise. I remember hearing that years ago. Michelle Letendre said it like do not say another competitor's name unless you're saying like they did something well or they have a strength or something like that. Tides are definitely changing on that. Me personally, I don't really want any part of it. I like it when no one says my name. I don't want to talk about anyone else. I just show up, we both compete, do our thing. But yeah, I think I think the amount of people in the sport that people don't like is very few.
Very low.
Like maybe one or two people per games, and even then it's kind of like, I don't really care for them, but you don't hate anyone.
Right.
I mean, like we're all hanging out. Like we have 6 hours in between every event. It's never enough time to go back to the hotel or leave, so we're all kind of hanging out in the lounge area, just like all shooting the shit. I don't know about you. I mean, you may hate everyone.
Those are fun times.
Yeah, I know. I think it's funny. I never thought of it from it's not a contact sport. I never thought of it from that angle. I thought of it from it's an individual sport. So when you're on a team, if you're on a basketball team, that's your team, and you hate every other team, and that's just how it is. When I played like beach volleyball, it was just two of us, and we didn't have a coach. We'd go around, so you made friends with the other teams because you can't just hang out with one guy the whole time. And so with this sport, you might have your coach, but there are a lot of moments when it's just you and the other athletes because their coaches aren't allowed in a lot of areas. So you just end up spending time together. And I mean, so to like during a competition, especially as the competition draws on, like I'm the kind of guy, and I think everyone just kind of knows, you just leave each other alone. Like, so in the last 2 days of Dubai, like the first 2 days, Valner and I are spending time together, and then like, we start getting close in points, and I just give him his space, he gives me my space. Like I saw him eating somewhere, and I'm like, I'll just go over here, eat over here. He was eating with you and like his coach, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go and like, hey man, like what are you doing after the comp? I'm like, we have like 2 events left and we're both trying to win a bunch of money here.
Yeah.
So you know, I just like gave him his space, like the nod, and you know, we're warming up, and I'm not like, hey, you know, I'm thinking on the dumbbells, you should maybe put. I'm like, no, like good luck out there, but
good luck out there, but I hope I beat you.
Yeah, and it's the same with him. Like, you know, beginning of the weekend, as the weekend draws along, there's like less and less conversations because it's just like you got to be, you know, let them get in the zone and whatever.
I know for myself, like even when I'm close in points with someone, like I hope you do well. Like I don't hope you get injured.
No.
I don't hope you get sick. I hope you do well. I just hope I do better.
Yeah.
And like I'm not wishing bad on anyone. I remember it came up in the interview where like it got spliced and it came like people read into it completely wrong. Where I'm like, I hope you have the competition of your life, but I hope I do better.
Yeah.
Like, by me saying that, I was saying like I'm not wishing that like, oh, he twisted his ankle a week before he withdrew. Like, yes. Like, no. I'm not wishing bad on the guy. I just hope I do better. And
yeah. It's the reality of like wanting to win is everyone else has to lose.
Yeah.
It's the reality of wanting to be a winner is, you know, but that's not, I don't do it so other people lose.
Yeah. I want to win.
You know, it's like, so, but, you know, I've finished competitions in first, and I've been happier with some competitions I've finished in third, and that's a lot of that's just internal, you know, how I felt I did in the competition, and it's not as much about the other guys. Right?
Well, you find a lot of commonality in the fact that you are chasing the same thing, right? And like you respect each other for it. You know, you want to win, and you want to be the best in the world at what you're doing, right?
I'm pretty sure like every year after regionals, every time that Vellner and I compete against each other, his family, my family, and coaches would all go out to dinner together after. Like it was just like his parents and my parents were hanging out the entire week, and like, hey, let's go grab a bite to eat after they finish their drug testing. You know,
that steakhouse in Albany.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, same place every year.
Yeah,
but then it was like prior to the games, Vellner's training in Montreal with Michelle, and I'm in Vermont. We're literally 40 minutes from door to door. And I remember, like, I would get texts from, like, Michelle or Michelle's boyfriend, Fred, like, shout out to Fred, where he'd be like, hey, man, when are you coming to Montreal and training with Pat and Michelle? I'm like, fucking never, man.
No chance.
Like, after the games, yes, let's hang out. We'll go like, come to my camp. I'll go to your camp. Like, we'll hang out for a week. It's cool. While we're training, fuck off.
Yeah, I remember talking to someone about that, like, oh, leading up to an event, you know, like, maybe it'd be good if you got with someone really good. And I'm like, first... No, like you know, because if you started competing, you'd kill yourselves. Because you
100%.
You would be like, hey, let's just do like an EMOM. Yeah, cool. You're not gonna go hard, are you? No, me neither. And then all of a sudden, you're just killing yourself.
That go to shit many times.
Yeah, it always starts out like that, and that's why, like, I think for 2 seasons or 3 seasons, I trained with Katrin, like every day leading up.
That's fine.
2017, I trained with Cara, or was that 2018?
Cara was 2017, I think.
2017. She stayed in Vermont for 2 or 3 weeks before the games.
No, it was 2018.
Yeah.
And then 2019.
And then 2019
was Tia.
Like, and she literally, her and Shane moved in with Sammy and I. So it was just like one big happy family. It was literally like Shane would take Tia and I to the gym every day, train us. Like, we'd go to the schedule. Sammy would come home, just like have like a pallet of food cooked up for the 3 of us. That was definitely like the best training ever.
There she is.
Who's that? Oh, Sammy Mo. What's up, girl?
Yeah. No, you can do it with a person of the opposite sex because you're not directly competing. Just like I'll train with like a power lifter because it's, you know, it's just 100%. Good energy. But yeah, I think I talked to Vellner and he was looking where they were going to move to. They ended up moving to Nanaimo, but Kelowna was kind of on the short list depending on where his fiance got put for work.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think this town's big enough for the both of us, you know, like, and if that happened, we'd have to have like some real conversations about like what's the plan here, you
like,
know,
where's the boundary?
Yeah, or I mean, you could potentially
from 145th over is my side of town.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That's you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we'd find a way to make it work, or you'd have to. I think part of it too is, especially leading into a competition. Like if I was, you know, off season different maybe, but leading into a competition, if I was training every day with another male, and I noticed like, you know, they're not, you know, using hook grip on them, like, nah, I'm probably not going to tell them.
Yeah.
Right? And, So if I was with Vellner all year and I kept not giving him good advice, and then he would stop doing it to me, and it'd be toxic.
Who's to say I give him wrong advice?
That's it, to Arnold. So it's
I had the same thing. So
and I don't want to be disingenuous to someone, so I'm like, I'd rather just not put myself in that situation.
I mean, Cole Sager and I were trained by the same coach, Bergeron, for a couple of years. Luckily, we didn't overlap all that often because he was on the West Coast, I was East Coast. But we would probably get together a week or two before regionals. He would come out to the East Coast and train with Ben.
Right. But you weren't competing in the next regional. But anyway.
I mean, but when we would do run-throughs of regional workouts, I did regionals twice because I would do it with him.
Yeah.
And we would
full speed.
We would just, and it was always hey, you're gonna break up these muscle ups, right? It's yeah, totally. And then neither of us come off the rings, and it's hey man, you lied. And he's yeah, you lied too. I'm yeah, I totally did.
That's how we roll.
That's how it always happens. So I mean, when that happened with Cole, we overlapped very rarely. It was only at CFNA. He never came to Vermont. I never went out west.
And in that situation, it can kind of make sense because it's you're both going to different regionals, same events. You kind of have this vested interest. If we do have a bit of shared learning here, it's in both of our interests. And then good luck at the games.
I remember the 1 year I was in the Central Regional, Vellner and I were kind of texting of hey man, how about that assault bike workout? And we're kind of and neither of us said a scores or numbers or anything. And then Vellner was finally hey man, we're not competing against each other anymore. You want to just share times? I was yes, I would like that very much.
Just whip it out.
We immediately then listed our 6 scores from all the workouts.
Yeah, just bang.
Yeah.
And that was nice when I moved away from Australia the first year or two. I had a lot of Australian guys that were, my level. And a lot of those guys are taller, more aerobic-based guys. And so it was nice.
How did you approach it? How'd you break it up?
Yeah,
what were your set? All that stuff. The first year that I was away from Vellner, that was very helpful.
Yeah, it is, right?
There were some workouts that were brutal.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We could do this for a long time, and we'll just do it again.
Yeah, we'll do it again sometime.
What do you do? Where are you going to be? Where are you competing?
I'm competing next at the West Coast Classic.
Yes, you are. Guess what you're doing, by the way? All regionals and games workouts.
Oh, you did release that?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yep.
See, he told me that a couple weeks ago. He was first he was you're 100% sure you're not competing at West Coast Classic. I was promise you I'm not. And he was it's all regional games workouts. And I was oh,
that's interesting.
I kind of want to compete there now.
Yep.
I mean, I'm in no way claiming I thought of this, but I've had that idea. Did I tell it to you ever? No. Never mind then. I remember mentioning to someone, might be my current coach, Nick Fowler, and he was talking about running a comp, just some throwdown, and I was you should just make it all old regional workouts and call it the regional monster mash.
Yeah.
And just
and then no one can complain about programming.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool that you get to then compare scores from 2012 to today.
Trust me, people will find a way to complain about programming. I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
that's cool. That's I like. Well, I mean, the West Coast Classic. It makes sense with the word classic in it.
I'm psyched. I'm pumped you're coming.
So. I'm excited to see some scores
now
from that.
So now I just have to do all the regional and games workouts for the next 2 months, and I'll be good.
Well, no. By the way, that's in a month.
Yeah, it's in 3 weeks, dude.
Well, I'll just figure out how many. I'll figure out how many workouts there are, and I'll take out the ones I've done within the last 2 years, and then I'll just split them up. And if that's 3 workouts a day, it's 3 workouts a day.
Easy.
Done.
Training.
What about you? What about you? Where are you going?
Me?
Yeah, we've talked about it, but go ahead.
I'm going home. I've been on the road way too much.
Yeah, you have.
But then I will be at West Coast Classic.
Cool.
Sammy is on a team with Pat Vellner's better half and Craig Ritchie's better half.
Coach.
No, Tia's coach. Tia's coach.
You're a fan. You're the megaphone.
Yeah, Shane and I will be in the crowd, jumping, clapping.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, yeah, Jazz and Michelle and Sammy are on a team. Real Housewives of CrossFit County. Yeah.
Cool.
And then you're competing next at
Rogue Invitational. Yeah, that's the plan right now.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm just excited to get home, be home, train for a little bit because I haven't trained since Strength and Depth. So we should probably
Let's do it. Well, both of you
Don't get
again. Thank you.
I'll give you a bunch of workouts to do first. Some real appropriate.
100 burpees for time, 100 thrusters for time.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you guys for being here. I know I've said it to you. We've podcasted a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful you came.
Thanks, man.
I hope you had a really good experience.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. Thanks for making this available for us.
For sure.
It's a game
We'll do
changer.
more of it.
Yeah,
looking forward to seeing you throw down in California.
Yeah, man. That's going to be sweet.
Yep. All right. And let's go enjoy the end of the show here. It should be exciting tonight.
The finals are going to be sick.
It's actually going to be important, so it's going to be cool. Yeah.
Do it.
All right.
Well, all right. We cut us off. That's a wrap.
That's it for Loud and Live. Brent Fikowski, Mat Fraser, Matt O'Keefe. Thanks for listening.
Oh.